Hello. Yeah. So, welcome back to part two of this recording. And in part two, we will be continuing from where we left off. So, quickly, we had looked at performance monitoring and statistics. We've looked at hardware information. We've looked at system information. Today, we're going to pick up from user information and management. So, I'm going to kill this, which okay, great. So the first thing we're going to do is maybe try to see if we can display the user and group. ID is actually a good command. Remember, ID, who am I? Any of this command works. But again, if I run the command ID here, we will see that it's showing me the user ID, which is the UID, is roots, the group ID, which is the group that the root user belongs to, is roots. Then the groups that this user belongs to is roots. If I exit from this root shell and maybe run the ID command again, we can see now the ID is a specific ID which sits around the user, normal user ID 1000 and above. So it's 1001, which is the first in there. Ubuntu, the group ID is also 1001 Ubuntu. Now the groups, we can see this user Ubuntu belongs to Ubuntu group. Excuse me. Then there are a bunch of other groups that this user belongs to within the context of the user. Okay, so I'm going to clear the screen. Now, next, let's see. If I want to display the last user who have logged into the computer, I can just type last. It's going to show me, okay, I'm pretty much happy. I'm not seeing any funny user, okay, because again, that would have been maybe a sign of a compromise. It's a cloud instance. It's all Ubuntu. Great. That's the only user who is allowed to log into the computer. Now, if we also want to show maybe who is the last logged in user, I can use the command who to do the same thing. So we can see two sessions are open, which is this and this one here, and they're both under the user Ubuntu. I can also use W to show who is logged in and what they are doing. If I just type W, I've shown you this before. Okay, executing a bash shell here, type in W here, what? Okay, great. I'm going to clear this screen. This session will be pretty much idle. We can see that over there. I'm going to clear the screen. Next, if we want to maybe create a group just to play around, I'm not going to do that because it's a cloud instance. I'm being very careful what to do with it. So I'm just going to show you the command. I can use group add, then just put the group name. I'll just put this here. Okay, now group name there, you have to put in the name of a group you want to add, but I'm not adding any group. I'm just showing you the command. Okay, next, if we want to maybe create a user account and maybe give the username, I'll give it bless, and probably we want to put a comment of what the user should be doing. I can use the command user add minus. If I put a minus C, it means I'm going to be putting like I can put a comment. I'll call this okay. My bad. Then I'm going to put the minus M, then put the username. Okay, now I'm going to create sorry, minus M. Okay, I can create this and I can delete this pretty much easy. So if I press enter here, oh, I didn't run this as sudo. Okay, so I should be running this as sudo anyways, but good enough it didn't run. I won't do that. But that's how you add a user account to the computer. Now you can also use user del if you want to delete that account. You can just use user del to delete that account, put the account name, it's going to delete it, but that must be run as sudo. Now if I want to add maybe the user to another group, let's say this user at first was in maybe John's group, I want to put him in maybe sales or account group, I can use the user modified, so I can pass the AG, so I'm changing the group to the new group name, let's say sales in this context, and the username. So I'm changing blessed, or I'm adding blessed to a group called sales. Remember, blessed initially had been created and it belongs to a group called blessed, which will be the default group created for the user, which is created. Now I'm adding blessed to a group called sales. That's what I'm using that command to do. Okay, again, that's how you do that stuff. Okay, now there is another video on my YouTube channel which actually showed how to use ACLs in Linux to define fine-grained access control around users within groups and folders. You want to go check that video out if you want to go really deep into using ACLs in Linux to manage what a user is allowed to do, streamlining their job roles. Okay, next I will move on to talking about files and directory command. There are a bunch of them. These want to be your default day-to-day, like pwd, print, working directory. So we're seeing we're in etc, like ls, lists. Okay, now this is like a long list, but it won't show me which of these specifically is a file or which of them is a directory. It's just going to use colors. So me looking at it, I know what these colors actually are, but you might not. So if you want to really have that clear visibility, you can do the ls minus al. So now we can see it's giving us the file permissions and the file type. So anyone with a D means it's a directory. Again, go check out our Linux video on ACLs. You will understand what each of these are, but I'll do a quick touch. Read, write, executes the user root, read executes the group, which is root group, then read executes everybody else global. Okay, now you want to check some sensitive files and be sure you have the right permissions for those files or folders. Okay, that's where security starts from. We're going to clear the screen. Now if we want to make a directory, we can just use mkdir as the name of the directory. Let's say tests. Okay, I'm not going to be doing this here. I'm going to cd into home. Let me see what's in here. Okay, I can just play around in this place. So mkdir tests. So oh, okay, bad. Okay, okay, great. Mk, we're good. Mkdir fun. Okay, that's the name of our directory, fun. We can see fun, ls minus al. So fun is a directory. Now I can remove the directory, or I can cd into fun. So this will be our play space. Now we are in fun, ls. There's currently nothing, but if I ls minus al, you see some hidden directories like the dot dot in there. I'm going to clear the screen. So let's play in fun. Let's say we want to create a file. Now we can either use any of the text editor like maybe Nano or maybe Vim or any of them. But again, we'll play around. We can use touch to create a file. File one. This is going to create a file in the directory, file one. Now I can play around. I want to put a content in this file. I can use echo is a fun guy, and I want to write that output out into file one. Okay, so if I cut the content of file one, this is a fun guy. Okay, I'm just playing around using stuff. Now I can still use Nano to edit this or VI to edit this. I'm just showing you other alternatives to create file, to modify a file. If I want to append a new string to this file, I think I've done this in my previous video. Let me not be repeating myself. I will advise you go check up that video. Okay, so if I want to, maybe I'm tired. I just want to take off everything in here. So I could start by either removing the file one, rm is for remove, or if I go back, I can remove the directory rm. I can use rmdir as one option, or I can use rm minus r, the same thing to remove fun. Each of them or either of them will work perfectly as long as you have the right to delete that file. I just deleted the directory, sorry, it's no more in there. Okay, that's for that. Now sometimes you try, it doesn't work. You can use the F flag to force the removal, but I'll leave that for you. We can also force recursively by using the rm minus rf, then passing the file name or the directory name we want to delete. Okay, so next, let's play around. We can use cp to copy. I have showcased this in my previous video, so I wouldn't be showcasing that here, but we can use cp to copy file. Let's say we touch file, oh no, let's first mkdir font, then let's how about we go into, Oh man, what the hell? Oh, this keyboard is a strange one. Oh man, I'm ditched. Somebody save me. Okay, I'm trying to do the same two things at once. So I make directory change into the directory. Okay, great. I'm in the directory, there's nothing in there. So I can touch file one, then I can cp file one to file five. I like that. One. Okay. cp cannot cp cannot start file one. No such file in directory. Let's check. Did I create the file? Oh no, my bad. File and one. That's what was my fault. I created two files. Okay, great. So I'm going to, it was a good way to showcase that as well. So if you put a space, it creates two files. So I'm going to cp file to file. So ls. Now you see I've got a Pike one in there. Okay, great. So I copied file and it created a new file called Pike one, and I've got three files in there, right? Great. So we can still play around this. Maybe copy from one other directory outside here to this directory. We can use cp minus r, then the source directory to the destination directory. That works perfectly as well. Now, if we want to move, let's say I want to rename a file, I can use mv move. It can be used to move, it can also be used to rename a file. Let's say I want to rename that file. It was a mistake. Let's change it to file one. Okay, I just did that. Now the new name is file one. Okay, we can move from this path to another path. Let's say we, how about we play around pwd, how about we mkdir on home. Let's create font 2. We create a new directory called font 2, right? So we can move everything in this current directory. I just use a dot in there. Oh, star, sorry, asterisk. I still don't understand my keyboard. I can move everything in here to home, font 2. Okay, so ls, I have nothing in font anymore. I can go back. Then I can see there will be a font 2. If I see it into font 2, ls, I have everything in here now, right? Now I can rm, just show rmdir, showcase rm before home. Let's take out the font directory. So I've just deleted the font directory. If I go back and ls, you see there's no more font directory in there. Okay, we could go on and on. Let's say we want to create a symbolic link. Let's touch a few more. I won't be doing that here because again it's a cloud instance. I'm careful what I'm doing not to expose the system to fraudulent people. I can use ln minus s. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a symbolic link. If I want to create a symbolic link to um, a file, maybe to a path, I can do ln minus s. Then I can pass the paths. Let's say I can pass particular paths to the file. Then once I pass the paths, then I can now put the link name. So whatever you want to call the link name, what you're doing is within this directory, you're creating a link to another file somewhere in a different path. We will be touching this pretty much as we advance in this whole recording. Okay, so I'm going to clear that. Now, if I want to view the content, you've seen me use cat before. I can use cat to read the content of a file. Okay, now if I want to maybe browse through a text file and I only want to see a few part, then can use less, or I can use head, I can use tail. I've shown you all this stuff. Okay, while the head will display the first 10 lines, the tail will display the last 10 lines. Any of these can work perfectly for you. Now we can also display the last 10 lines of file and follow the file as it grows. So now we will set it kind of like in a replay mode. It's going to be following the files. Usually you do that for log files. You want to keep track. So let's say we remove this font directory. So we're done with this stuff. Now let's cd into log. So let's say again we want to keep track of our log file. We can do tail, then I can do the minus f, then I can put the file name. Okay, I want to keep track, view the last 10 lines, then keep track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and trigger something. I'm going to exit this session. Sorry. I think it died already. Okay, so I'm going to maybe try to authenticate again and see. Okay, now you can see it picked that up immediately, like someone tried to authenticate. It's also going to tell me if it was a successful authentication or not. So I supplied the signature, then also accepted public key, and that authentication was actually successful. Okay, so we're seeing that log growing. That's one way we can do. Oh man, my bad. What the hell was that? Okay, great. So next, let's see if we can take on a few more. Probably the next 5 minutes. Now, the bunch around process management. So for process management, there's a whole lot of them, and you probably would have seen me use some in my video. Now, the first basic one, which you usually come handy, is PS. So PS gives you the list of the process. We can see the process ID, the time to the TTY value, which is terminal, then also the time and the CMD, the command. So for example, this process command sudo, this is su, this is bash. Now, if I want to see maybe pretty much more stuff, this is pretty much like baseless to me. I can't do anything with that. I can do ps minus ef. That's one option. Now I can start seeing more stuffs, specific more stuffs actually, cool more stuffs. This is the process ID, then this is the parent process ID as well. Okay, so we can use these to keep track. I'm going to clear the screen. Now I can also do ps minus aux, gives me pretty much similar but with much more details. Okay, great. I'm going to clear the screen. Now, this is not far-fetched from what you'll find if you run the top or the htop command. But let's say we want to display process information for a particular process name. Let's say, what would that be? Let's run that command again and find the process name. Let's see. Maybe okay. I'm gonna try something. It will clear the screen. Okay, so I'm going to try to use ps minus aux. Then I'm going to pipe my keyboard. I still struggle to understand it. Please permit me. I'm going to pipe. It's a Portuguese keyboard. Then I'm going to grep for SSH. I was going to type SSHD anyways. I'm sorry, but we can see exactly it only extracted details about SSHD processes. Now this is one way I can use to keep track of the SSHD processes, if it's been used, if there's a connection out or in within the computer. Okay, I can clear the screen. Now I want to kill a process. You can use the kill. I won't be killing no process here. So kill PID, I just run enter because it won't execute anyways. PID stands for the process ID. Remember when we ran the PS, I'll just use PS, we can see the process IDs. So we can copy this if I want to kill this and just use the kill and pass the process ID. Or if I want to kill gracefully, I can use kill minus 15. If I want to kill forcefully, I can use kill 9. Pretty much kill 9. If you remember when I ran the H top, you probably would have seen that's kill here, right? So we can as well use this to kill. Okay, I'm gonna exit this just to show you several ways of doing this. Now, if I want to kill all both the parent and the child processes for a particular process, I can use kill all, then the process name. Well, I would advise you to do that, but if you want to do that, that's your job. Okay, now if you want to start program in the background, we can start a program and use the ampersand to, what the hell? Um, let's say I want to start maybe a program like top. I can start top and use the ampersand to put it in the background. Okay, why is that recommended? Let's say you want to run something in the background and still work within the shell. You can use that. If you want to bring it up, you can just put FG, foreground is going to bring it up. You can as well use BG to stop background processes. Okay, now if you want to bring maybe the most recent background job up, FG, I've told you that already. If you want to bring maybe, the job number, then FG, then the particular job number will also help you do that. Okay, I'm going to stop into the recording here. I know it's been a lot, but I hope you love the content. Please do like, subscribe, and turn on the button. There will be one or two more, which will be looking at file permissions, then also networking, as well as archive, installing packages, then searches, SSH login, then disk usage. It's still a bunch more. I think maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 more sessions around this Linux sysadmin. So please just stick around, enjoy the videos, and I'll see you in the next recording. Bye.